Hello everyone, I am Iman al-Dasari. Before I am starting this video with you, I would like to say the best way to memorize what you are learning is sharing that with others. Because recently I am taking topic about data analytic framework that related to the big data processing framework, and the topic is about Hadoop. So this video will see what's the meaning of Hadoop and how we're using the Hadoop distributed file system. What is Hadoop? Hadoop is open source framework from Apache, and it is used to store, process, and analyze data that are very huge in volume. Hadoop is used for the big data and is written in Java and is not online analytic processing. So the model of Hadoop is using Hadoop distributed file system, like Google published a paper in Google file system. So what is Hadoop distributed file system? When we are looking for the Hadoop distributed file system concept, it is about like the disk has a block size, which is the minimized amount of data that can be read or write, and have a file system. File system for single disk built on by the dealing with the data in block. So our disk is divided into many disks, and that disk contain many file system, and that file system divided into many block, where the disk block are normally like 512 bytes. The question is why our block is here is very large. The reason is behind for that size is very large is to minimize the cost of the seeking, and the other reason is to balance the seeking time with the thoughtbot, and that will be like 1% from that data that will be transferred. So that's the reason why the block is very large. The second point is the name node and the data node, and what's the difference between them. The name node is looking like the mind master, and that master have like job to manage our file. And we have two kind of file, like the namespace image and the edit log. For the namespace image is looking like the map for all file and the block. How many cluster do we have? How many nodes do we have? And how many nodes we have in that cluster? And in the case if we need edit any namespace image, we will do that processing in the file is called edit log. On the other hand, the data node is looking like the slave or the workhorse, and it's about how to maintain our file in the Hadoop distributed file system. And one of the job of data node is making report for any changing on the data that in the name node. And other job of data node also how to communicate with the client. So that's the difference between the name node and the data node, how they are acting like the master and the slave. The second topic is about the block caching. The word caching in the Hadoop distributed file system is looking like the memory. So what's the point of we have block caching? The point behind of the block caching is having frequently access, which mean if every time we are accessing to our name node or our namespace, sometimes we have like frequently access, and their job, the block caching, their job making a copy in the cache for the frequently access for the next time when I am access to that namespace. And the reason of saving the caching in the memory is to increase the read performance and to increase our process. The second topic is Hadoop distributed file system validation. The point of validation is divide our namespace that related to many name nodes. And the point of dividing that is allow cluster to scaling by adding name node and the each of which manage the portation of the file system of the namespace. The second topic is Hadoop distributed file system high availability. So we need to combine between the name node and the secondary name node. And to do that, we need to create checkpoint to protect our data from loss. But the problem was we don't have high availability to protect our file in the system. In this case, with the name node is still in the single point of failure. And that will cause failure in reading and writing in our file. And at that point our Hadoop will be like out of the service until we bring the new name node in the service. Sometime with the long important with the long import with the namespace name node, and that will with the long process of the import sometime will have failure, and that is called the downtime of our server. So the solution is about when Hadoop is bringing the Hadoop to, they are adding a feature is called high availability, and their job is executing the name node like in Pyro, and that executing it like in the active standby configuration. So the standby that taking over the duty to continue the service client request without any significant interruption. One of the example of that server is called the Zookeeper, and their job is how to distribute the name node and taking the same copy of the image. And to allow that server Zookeeper, we need another server is called the shared storage to allow the Zookeeper to making that copy.